Thank you for joining me for this segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, I am answering more of your questions in another segment of Ask Judy. If you have questions, please do put them in the comments below. And if you are enjoying these segments, please do hit like and subscribe. Another question from Tamer from the Netherlands, who said, did you ever want an opportunity to be able to sing in a scene of the Waltons? What is your preference, singing as a solo artist or in combination with a character, such as in a musical, in a team along with other actors? I always have respect for artists in musicals. You have to deliver your lines well as be good at singing, which also brings the characters to life. I would have loved to have been able to sing on the Waltons, but in the episode The Song, when Ben was suggesting that Sally Ann, the wonderful Erin Moran, be the person who sang with Jason, there was a comment about how Mary Ellen sounded like a frog or something like that. So they'd kind of established early on that apparently that Mary Ellen couldn't really sing, so that was never going to happen. It was during the course of the Waltons that I actually started studying singing, so I don't really feel like I was ready to really perform to a standard that would have made me happy, unless I was supposed to be doing a scene where I wasn't supposed to be able to sing, as Mary Ellen couldn't really. But it would have been fun, just for me, for personal reasons. And then I always loved doing musicals because of that combination of the acting and the singing, and that you're creating a character and that the songs come out of the character, so you know what the song's about, and you can act the songs as well, and they tell stories and they forward the story. So the energy of all the other actors and the orchestra, it just, to me, that's like the best. But what I love about doing as a solo artist concert work is that there's a lot of songs that are, if they're from musicals, they are characters that I would never be cast to play. Wrong age, wrong type, or it was a man who sang the song in the show, but it's a song that can be sung by a man or a woman. So in concerts, I can kind of sing any song I want to and find a reason why it makes sense for me to sing that song. So it doesn't have to be about what it's about in the show. It can be about something else. And so it gives me the chance to sing a lot of other songs that I absolutely love, but will never get to do in a musical. So thank you. That was kind of fun to take a look at. An interesting comment here from Singer Special, who said something you might check out. In The Pony Cart, the scene where John Boy takes Martha Corrine to the graveyard, at the end of the scene, Richard winks at someone in the crew behind the camera. I guess you can say he broke the fourth wall. I looked back at that, and I'll show it to you here. And yes, as he's sort of helping Martha Corrine to get down the mountain, he does wink. Richard would never intentionally break the fourth wall in a scene. My best guess about what happened was that perhaps he thought the camera had already cut, perhaps he thought the camera was on something else, or it was a completely spontaneous thing that he did that he didn't realize he did. And for some reason, they kept that take. So it makes no sense to me why he might have winked. And it does appear that he's winking at somebody. So good catch. And maybe I'll show it to Richard and see what he thinks of it. This question is from Canis Lupus, who said, you are the Wonder Woman of your time. Besides being the prom girl, you were jumping horses, you were a flyer on a trapeze. Tony Curtis played one in a movie with Burt Lancaster. Did you ever meet either of them? Nope, never had that pleasure, sadly. Tennis, is there any names you could drop here about that? I had an opportunity to do a number of sort of celebrity tennis tournaments, and at times I had the pleasure of meeting Tracy Austin, Bobby Riggs, and Rod Laver. And because with these celebrity tournaments, we would play doubles or mixed doubles or whatever, I actually got to partner with Tracy Austin at one point, or play against her. Bobby Riggs I played against in mixed doubles. And he was fascinating because the shots he could hit had so much spin and stuff that you could see it coming, and he would put so much backspin on it that it would come over the net and then bounce back over to his side before you could get to it to hit it. So he was really challenging. It wasn't that he hit the ball so hard as how he placed it and how it was spun. And as a complete amateur, spin was not something I was used to dealing with. He would just put the ball where you weren't. Rod Laver was an absolute gem as well. I love Tracy Austin. I love Rod Laver. I didn't really get to know Bobby Riggs, just had that experience of going, oh my goodness, I'm playing across the net from Bobby Riggs. Same thing with Rod Laver. I mean, none of these people, these pros, hit the ball hard when they were playing in those celebrity tournaments because they didn't have to. They'd sort of hit it to you and let you make the mistake, which is typically what happened. They just put the ball where they wanted to, and rather than, they didn't even have to cause the error. We didn't have the consistency. I mean, there were definitely some celebrity tennis players that were much better than I was, but I just always had such fun doing it. Then you said, gamer against other show participants, softball. For some reason, I immediately thought of The Catcher in the Rye, and of course, your theater live shows. That takes no small amount of courage to step out on a stage in front of an audience. And I like that one a lot, as it was at one of them that I met you and you autographed my credit card slip. Yes, we met up in Canada when I was doing work at a dinner theater up there. So thank you for that trip down memory lane. This from Warren Groom, who said, Judy, can you talk about how important a telephone and radio was in the house? We seem to think today that a telephone is no big deal and radio. But when Earl was growing up, having a way to communicate and listening to the news was very important. From in a small town was like sitting in front of a TV today and watching the news. Very true. I mean, I think you kind of said it the best there. Not having a telephone for emergencies in the homecoming. Olivia says when this depression is over, a telephone's the first thing she's going to get. We were able to use the phone at Ike's, but that meant running down to Ike's, and in the homecoming where the weather is terrible, that's not just a nothing thing to do. And even if we were able to get to a telephone, there was no way to call John or for John to call us and let us know that he was stuck or what was going on. So we were very isolated in those kind of circumstances. Now I think we feel that if we leave our cell phone someplace, we're out of touch. I'm on an airplane, I can't call anybody. I try to get that attached to my phone, but it does feel like it's an important part of our life to stay in touch, and also for emergencies. I mean, I remember the payphone boxes, and on the highway, the call boxes if you got stranded. And now, if I end up someplace with no cell service, I mean, it is something to think about because we take it for granted, but there are those areas where you have no service, so you can't call in case of an emergency. Letters would take months to get places, and telegrams came into existence, and that helped. But so much of the time, if someone was overseas, a letter had to come by boat. So it really, you didn't get updated real quickly, and all of those types of things. Newspapers, how long it would take a newspaper to get out to a rural area. So we were always behind on the news, and radio came into existence, and then we did have, the ability to hear more of what was happening closer to real time. It was sort of like what was important and what wasn't. And I think these days, we have internet, and I can't imagine, it's hard to remember before we had internet when I would have to do school reports. I remember we had a set of encyclopedias, and I would use those for research, or you'd go to the library and you'd have to research things. And now we just, Google it. There's ways in which I love that, and ways in which sometimes I think it would be nice to be able to just shut it off. So those times when we can sort of go off the grid and step away from all of it and just exist in life and remember what that's like to actually personally interact with people. So, and even I do love GPS. I do remember having to read maps or having a Thomas guide. Some people probably have no idea how to read a map or use a Thomas guide. But yeah, you would have to plan before you went someplace, and there weren't the same, road signs in the same way to guide you. So it was an adventurous time to be living, and we still live in an adventurous time, but just for other reasons. So I think maybe that's why I, like so many of you, enjoy looking back at the Waltons and aspects of the simplicity of all of that, and the way in which the family unit in that community existed. And I think we have to work harder to create that sense of community now, because there are so many outside distractions. So hopefully this community I am creating here is making us all feel a little closer. Thank you once again for joining me for this segment of Ask Judy. I'll be back with more behind the scenes of the Waltons about episodes, more of your questions in an Ask Judy, and hopefully more special guests. Thanks for watching.